Hello and welcome back to my channel. In the last few years, I've had quite a lot of follows from parents who have recently had a child with a disability, and specifically babies with brittle bones slash osteogenesis imperfecta. Now, I have type 3, so obviously I'm going to be talking about my experience today, but there are many different types. Here in the UK, well, I mean, I'm quite old now, I'm 31, and back in the day, we only spoke of 4 different types, but I think things have expanded now, and I've heard of like 10 types, so forgive me, I'm not up to date with like the politics around brittle bones, but I thought I would just give you some information slash I really hope when these people follow me, I immediately want to get in touch and be like, I know things are rough right now, but honestly, like, I have a great life, but I also don't want to be too intense. I've done that once and it was positive, thank God. But I just know that my parents didn't know anyone with brittle bones. They were introduced to people later on. But I guess it's such a difficult thing to go through, even though I like to be positive and I don't want to show the barriers all the time. It is intense, and I must say it's been interesting for me as a brittle person to watch parents' like opinions and thoughts and reactions, and it's been quite hard for me to watch in a way because obviously I didn't know what my parents reacted like. I didn't know how they felt, and we don't really talk about it that much. Like, we just get on with life now. So yeah, I thought, long story short, I would answer some questions that people had from Instagram, and I hope this helps anyone who does have brittle children. And if you've got any other questions, just let me know in the comments. But let's get straight into it. Now, these are in no particular order. It's just from what people have asked me. So let's have a look. So the first question is, does it cause pain? Yes. Long story short, brittle bones does cause pain. For those who don't know, brittle bones is what it says on the tin. So I can break my bones really easily. I've broken hundreds of bones in my life. And yeah, very fragile. I was more fragile as a baby. I'm definitely less fragile now. I kind of know what to do and what not to do. Um, and I can still kind of get in and out of my chair. I can do physical things. I can, you know, cook for myself on the good days. I can, like, still do things. It's just about knowing what my body is up to and what it isn't up to. Obviously, there's always times where I might do something and pop a rib or, like, I don't know, break my shoulder, but generally I have to have some form of like accident to do that. Um, but obviously when I was a kid and I didn't know my body very well, I would literally like, I don't know, do silly things like put a pencil case on my head and break my arm. But like kids do what they need to do, and I just think like I had to learn the hard way, unfortunately. There was another question actually here that kind of relates. Do you have a high pain tolerance because of the breaks? Yes, I think I do. I think when I used to go to A&E and if I wasn't screaming, the doctors wouldn't believe that I'd broke a bone. And also what's tricky is for me because the strength of my bones is so low, the the radiologist will know more, but basically my bones in x-rays aren't fully white, and that's obviously when you see a dark line, you know that a bone is broken. But for people with brittle bones, we almost have like grey bones because the density isn't that high. So that made it really hard to explain to people. Obviously, if I wasn't going in screaming, crying, people would be like, so you think you broke your leg? But I'd just be sat there. But it still hurts, like it really hurts. I think I've just got like a rank of what's most painful. So like femur, I think is up there. Um, Collarbone because you just constantly move your collarbone all the time. And then ribs, if you can't breathe properly, obviously that's painful. So yeah, it kind of depends what you break, but just to squash the myth, it still hurts. But what we do have, which I think is quite cool, is the whites of our eyes turn blue. They think it's when you're more fragile. Um, so my mum knows if she sees me and I've got really blue eyes, she's like, "Oh my God, be careful." But also my other friend said she thinks it's when we're tired. So if any scientists out there know the answer, please let me know. Another question is, are you able to walk on your own? And the short answer is no. My legs are just not strong enough. I don't even think I've got the strength to even try, but if I did, I'd probably break a bone. The only thing that I have done is if I go swimming, I can wait there and yeah, kind of pretend to walk in the water. But no, I am not able to walk at all. What's the longest time period you've had without breaking any bones? This is difficult because obviously it's hard because I've got like aches every day. Some breaks aren't like traumatic, so I know to other people this might sound really weird, but sometimes if my hip's hurting, is it just aching or is it a fracture? So quite honestly, I don't think I know the answer to that. But honestly, it's been a very long time. Oh God, every time I say this, it's been a long time since I've actually had like a actual incident. And someone else was said, when was the last time you broke a bone? The last time that I can like remember doing something was I really hurt my head and I banged it and I think I like cracked my skull and that hurt for months. That was like last winter. So obviously it's been a long time since I've broken something. I think about a year now, but now it's just more like aches from the previous fractures. So if anyone's broken a bone that's watching this who hasn't got brittle bones, you'll know that you can feel it sometimes. Even when it's healed, you can kind of feel where it was. So you imagine I've broken 300 and odd bones. I can just feel aches and pains from that. So that's kind of what I feel rather than the traumatic breaks. The next question is, does it also affect things like your teeth? Yes. A lot of people don't realise this, but obviously teeth are bones and my teeth are also brittle as well. That's something that I think it's one of my insecurities because that can impact me quite a lot. So, for example, I'm really exposing myself here, but I've had a chocolate biscuit and a tooth was cracked, and I've had tiger bread and also cracked my tooth as well. So it's something that I'm quite embarrassed about. I've got a lot of internalized ableism. I think I'm more embarrassed about that than actually breaking bones, which is really interesting. I think it's because I don't really know if there's a solution or what to do about that. Whereas if I break a bone, painkillers, rest, like that's it. But my teeth are my teeth. Do you know what I mean? I've got to work through that. I'll work through that myself. Is the treatment, like casts, etc., the same as for somebody without brittle bones? Yes and no. So it depends what you break and it depends on the person. So, for example, when I was little, a lot of the time I wouldn't get a cast just because that was probably heavier than like the limb that I broke, and that actually could cause more fractures, like the heaviness of me trying to move it. So not all the time, or I would get a heavy bandage. Some people get operations, some people get rods and metal work. It all depends on the person. The only rod that I've got is in my spine. I had scoliosis, and I'm actually really glad that I've got that done. I could do a whole video on that, but yeah, that's the only thing that I've had done. But yeah, in terms of casts, Less so when I was younger, more so now, but only for like limbs, I would say. So yeah, we do get treatment. It just depends on what the factor is. Do you have any regular treatments? And do you feel that that helps or makes a difference? So a lot of brittle people, especially now, and children have bone juice slash, treatments out there that can strengthen bones. I was actually in a trial when they first started doing bone juice, and I had an oral medicine when I was a teenager, and I'm really glad I actually did that. Came off it a few years after just because I felt like it did what it needed to do and it wasn't progressing or improving after a certain point. But yeah, you can get medicines that can strengthen you, whether that's like injected or whether it's oral. Obviously, there's pros and cons. But for me, I'm really glad I did it. And there's a lot of children now who have medication and they seem to have a little bit more strength than someone my type has. However, that's not for everyone, and obviously everyone's different and reacts differently. But yeah, there are treatments out there, and I would suggest going to a specialist and finding out what's available near you. And yeah, seeing if there's anyone else that has a similar type. Um, that's benefited from medicine as well. But there is a lot out there. So it's very exciting, this new technology and new discoveries. The next set of questions are more like logistics. I'd definitely also going to have to do a part two because there's so many questions. But these are more like, how do I do things? One person said, a swap for what you do, this for that to adapt everyday things. Now, I think I'm just gonna do a different video on that, because I really need to think about what I do differently because it's my norm. It's hard to know like what I do differently, but I'll talk to my parents, I'll talk to my friends, and then I'll do a day in the life of what I do. Oh my god, my top's coming down. Yeah, I'll figure what I do, and then we'll do another video about that. What happens if you break something and you're on your own? Now, this was a fear that I had since I could remember because it was so traumatic breaking a bone. It was so scary to think, well, how am I going to live independently if I break? What I had to get my mindset out of was when I was a child and I broke, I would cry, scream. It would be really terrible. All hell would break loose. You know, in the ambulance you go or in the car to A&E. And I just want to reassure you, as an adult, well, for me anyway, it's totally different. Like, you just know your body a lot more. It's very rare that there's like a traumatic incident, unless obviously you fall or whatever else. But yeah, I just want to reassure you that when you live on your own, you kind of, or if you do live on your own, you kind of know what to do, what not to do. You put systems in place. There's so much technology out there, like you can literally ask, oh, God, I'm whispering just in case it sets anything off. Um, to do things for you, to call people. So try and put your mind at ease that there are things out there to keep you safe. And also, you will find friends and people in your life who are prepared, they're aware, they know what to do. Have that conversation with people like, what do you do if you break before you break? So they're prepared as much as possible. But at the end of the day, you just know that no matter what happens, you can call 999. Like, unless, you've fallen and you haven't got your phone. But the risk of that is just the same as anyone else who falls and whatever. So, yeah, I just want to kind of reassure you, but there are ways to support yourself, and it's not as scary as what you think. But I can totally understand why there's anxieties around it because, we've had such traumatic times in our childhood, it stays with you. But yeah, I managed to live independently. I have people that come in and help me, but it's very much on my terms, and I'm still very independent. So yeah, I think I've got the best of both worlds. How do I make my own food? Well, I have an adapted kitchen, and everything's lower. I have space underneath my hob, a space underneath my sink, so I can reach things. Obviously, I've got short arms, so I kind of just do what I know I can do. Um, Pretty much can do everything on a good day, but if I can't, again, I ask for people's help to batch cook at the beginning of the week. There are many things that you can do to make sure that, you can eat and live. And ready meals are the way forward. I know people have got this weird stigma about them, but honestly, I don't care. As long as I eat, I'm not bothered. And the last question is how you get yourself dressed independently. So, this is something that I've worked on for years. When I was a child, I definitely got 24/7 care. I got help dressing just because I wasn't strong enough to like lift my bum or like just generally pull trousers up and put tops on. But as I've grown older, I've first of all bought clothes that I know is easy. Like this is very flowy, easy to get on. I'm not going to be getting corsets that are really hard to button up. Like you know what you can deal with. Dresses easy to put on and off. Um, and I can transfer out of my chair onto something level. So I can go on my bed, or I've got a bench in my bathroom to the shower. So I can transfer onto that and get dressed there as well. So it definitely takes time. You have to be patient with yourself to build your strength. Um, and yeah, so it's a mix of what you buy in terms of clothes and it honestly, if there's one thing I could say to my younger self, things are so physical to do, but it's a workout. Like, don't pressure yourself to have to do everything straight away. Like, it took me years to be able to go to the loo. It took me years to be able to bloody put on a bra. Like, every physical thing is a task and it might take you years to do. And I think part of being disabled is that, like, I get so happy about the little things because I've worked bloody hard to do everything. And it gives you this euphoric feeling when you can do it. So I would say, accept the help if you've got it and if it means you can, do your day to day life. But in the meantime, as you kind of growing up and practicing things, just keep practicing. And also, if you support somebody with brittle bones, allow them that space to practice. It's very easy to kind of watch someone, in quotes, struggle, but they won't be. It's just them working out how to do things. Sometimes you've got to get stuck to learn how to do it properly, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's my really long winded answer to like, I get dressed in a way that suits me. I can get my upper body stuff on pretty much in my chair, my lower body both, transferring or getting properly out of my chair. But it's doable. It's just all about building your stamina and having patience with yourself, having grace, and cheering yourself on for the little things, which is what this channel and my stuff is all about. So yeah, wow, that was a long video. I hope that was helpful. Um, I realise all of that was quite higgledy-piggledy. But if you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, give it a like. If you want to be part of the community and get these videos earlier, join my Patreon. There's a link in the information box. But if not, do not worry. I will see you in the next video. Bye!